internet is just not really working today, but we're going to go ahead and give it a go. What's up, people? Got to move the mic over here a little bit.
We're on this side this time.
We're on this side. Here, let's switch it up. See, we got 2 cameras today, guys.
High tech. Moving up
in the world. We love it. We love it. All right. Well, I hope everybody is doing well. We do have a little dog in the newsroom today, Poncho. So if you hear some barking, that's just Poncho. He's just hanging out here at 13 Sport or in the zone, Sport Zone
could be
area,
Chad.
I guess. Yeah, it could be Chad as well. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Well, week 6 of high school football. I can't believe it's already week 6. We have 11 weeks of the regular season here in West Virginia, and so we're like more than halfway done. Can you believe it?
I was actually thinking about this last night. I'm like, oh my goodness, September is ending. It's going to be October in a few days, and all of a sudden, half the season's over. But then I finally started to break it down. I'm like, okay, we have until November, so we still have a lot left.
Yeah, and not to mention we have, of course, the playoffs and all of that after that.
Yeah.
So we still have the Super 6 and all of that will be happening. But as far as West Virginia goes, we are in week 6. Now, Ohio and Kentucky start a week earlier, so we are in week 7 for our other neighboring states. And speaking of Ohio and Kentucky, we are going to go kind of outside the Mountain State for our game of the week this week. We're looking at the slate of games, and we just think this game is going to be the best one out of all of our area games. It's 2 teams that are very, very competitive. One's undefeated, another one has 1 loss by 1 point. So this week's game of the week is Gallia against Colgrove. They're going to be at Colgrove.
Yep.
I do believe it's also Colgrove's homecoming game, so that's also very exciting. But Zach, what are your thoughts, your initial thoughts on this matchup?
You know, I thought we were going to go to Tug Valley at Tulsa.
You want to go to Tulsa. You want to go to Tulsa.
One of these days we'll venture. One of these days we'll venture out there.
Yeah.
So we were actually robbed of an undefeated battle, and the reason for that, Colgrove is coming off of a loss, but they did drop 42. And what we've learned from Colgrove this year, they can score a whole lot of points. The only problem is that they ran into a Portsmouth team, a really good team last year, but they've faced some really good competition so far this year. They've got the Spring Valley loss, and so that was a big win for them. And I mean, Colgrove, man, a lot of points. And so unfortunately that's the key here, was that we could have had an undefeated battle. What is interesting to me,
I love that sign, by the way. I don't know.
All men are created equal, then there's Chase Hall.
Yes.
Gallia Academy, we have not seen them yet this year, but they went on the road and beat a very good Point Pleasant team, 22-21. So I'm really interested to see this matchup. I'm kind of jealous that you get to be a part of this one.
Well, you're going to go out there with me. I'm making you.
You get to watch the game, though, but I'm going to be somewhere else.
Well, we'll talk about that later. We'll figure it out. But, yeah, regardless, it's going to be a very good game, and I'm very excited to see it. A lot of kids will be out there. Like we said, it's the homecoming game. But, yeah, I mean, as Zach said, you know, Colgrove, it's going to be a very high-scoring game. Colgrove put up 42 points. They did lose by 1 to Portsmouth. And, you know, Gallia does put up a lot of points, too. Who do you have in this one?
You know, I was so excited that I didn't mention. So, a big thing for Colgrove in this one, and I'm like 80% certain they play Ironton next week, so that's going to be an awesome matchup. So you can't overlook, especially an undefeated team. I'm going to go with Colgrove. I really think they can put up a lot of points. I really see them winning this one, especially at home if it is homecoming, and so you don't want to lose on that game.
Right, and I have to agree with you there. Again, it is kind of difficult because we haven't seen Gallia yet this season. So, but yeah, I mean, I do think Colgrove. You know, they're coming off a chippy loss. They're probably a little upset about that, so want to go out there and win it on their home turf on homecoming night. So yes, we're very excited about that. As always, tune in Friday night at about 11:10 for our Friday night Sports Zone, and that will be our game of the week. Then Zach is going to head over, either Zach or I, as I said, we haven't fully decided yet, but ahead like what, 20 miles down the road, maybe?
Oh, 15, not too far.
15, yeah, over to Rock Hill. Now, Rock Hill is going going to be hosting Ironton. Now, this one is going to be pretty tough for Rock Hill. I'm pretty sure they're sitting like at 500, where
around
Ironton
that roughly
is a powerhouse. I mean, we talk about them all the time. So what are your thoughts on this one?
I'm really excited about this one. Inner city matchup. Ironton versus Ironton up in the hills. Yeah, we've got this. We've got the city. And we've got the hills. It's kind of like a capital G-dub in a sense here. Rock Hill, they've got a couple of losses, but
for those who don't know, Rock Hill is in Ironton. But yes.
But Ironton, man, they're smashing everybody. They beat. So they came from behind. They beat Jackson. That's a really good team. They beat Wheelersburg. I think they only allowed 3 points in week 1. So they went up on the road. Spencer Adkins went there for that slugfest. And then they beat Johnson County Central. And old JCC was in the state title game last year and hung in there with Boyle County. So you're not only beating the best in Ohio, you're beating the best in Kentucky. And for a team like Rock Hill, that they don't have the win so far this year, but Southern Ohio, they've got some really, really good teams there. Ironton is a really good team there. And when you have a kid like Ty Perkins and you have multiple D1 athletes, you may have a D1 athlete on your team, you don't have multiple D1 athletes on your team. Ironton has that. I've got them in a rivalry game.
I mean, and we go back to, like we did go out and talk to Ironton before the season started, and they do have, as you mentioned, those multiple D1 talents, 2 kids, one going to Cincinnati, one to Wisconsin. They're just big, and one thing that sticks out to me, the kid who committed to Wisconsin, blanking on his name right now, but he did say that their season ended way too early last year and unexpectedly. They lost in the playoffs and to Wheelersburg, and so they wanted to come out, wanted to make a run for it, and they're still undefeated. I have to agree with you on this one. I'm going to go with Ironton. I really don't think it's going to be close, but as always, we're going to root for the close game, right?
Yeah, especially like a good game.
Cross city matchup. So I'm expecting it to be intense. It's not going to be like a total blowout, but hopefully. But I definitely have Ironton on top of that one. Man at Buffalo. Man is surprising me, you guys. My Billies. Like, obviously, I'm rooting for them hard all the time, but like, I really didn't expect us to be entering week 6 at a 4-1 record.
As a journalist,
an unbiased one,
as a journalist who strives to be objective and fair for both sides, this man team's looking really good. Buffalo, I believe their only win was Mountain View. Mountain View down, because they went on the road really far. I know they were near Welch and they got the win. I believe it was Mountain View. But I mean, they're beating everybody right now. They are on a roll. And Buffalo, they're coming off of a bye, I believe, and this is the only Putnam County game this week. So if you're in Putnam County, you got nowhere to go. Might as well go up to Buffalo.
Might as well trot on up to Buffalo.
Yeah, and it's nice for Buffalo. I mean, they've been traveling all over the place lately, and so they get a home game. Unfortunately, they're playing a team like Man that has really hit their stride. I mean, what have they done? They beat Westside like 56-8. They slaughtered Mingo County, and we thought that would be a little bit closer. But especially a 2A school.
Gonna be a lot closer.
But they went down to Matewan and mauled the Miners. To see the alliteration there. But I'm going with Man.
I'm going with Man in this one too. I mean, Buffalo, we've mentioned before, they're just struggling this season. They only have 1 win so far. It is at Buffalo, but I mean, Man's just been shocking us, man.
And Buffalo too, they have a new head coach, and especially with that new system, new players, trying to figure everything out. Their head coach is more experienced, but it still takes a while to get that system in and learn those players, and especially when you're an A school too. Enrollment's down, and so
it will be interesting too, though, and we were kind of mentioning this earlier, just how long these kids have to travel to play, especially obviously in Class Single A. I mean, some of these teams are traveling, like we saw one traveling 5 hours.
Wheeling Central Catholic is at rather West Side or Mountain View. I think they're at Mountain View, and that is a 5-hour, 10-minute drive plus tolls. So hurts the wallet too.
So I mean, that's just crazy to me. Like I think we've mentioned it before. before. The furthest I traveled when I was in high school was maybe an hour, and so 5 hours. That is crazy, and that especially with high school kids, like that does come into consideration. So, man, traveling all the way to Buffalo, that's a pretty hefty drive as well.
It's not an easy drive too. You're going up and down the mountains too.
So I mean, those legs. Hopefully they can get to Buffalo a little early, get those legs moving, and get out there and have a hard start, not like a slow start. Because I could see that impacting these teams. I mean, it's just from experience. Like I said, I didn't travel more than an hour, but even on those hour trips, if we had to go to Valley Center, I was walking off that bus with Jello legs. So
there's a lot of people in California.
Yeah,
there's a lot of high schools around you.
That is true. That is true. Also, I just realized we skipped over our Ironton highlights, so we'll go back there. Guys, I'll get the hang of these highlights eventually. It's tricky because we have to edit them all together, but just to go back and talk a little bit about Ironton and Rock Hill, we haven't seen Rock Hill yet either. So, yeah, that's what I'm pretty excited about. Ironton, as we mentioned, just slaughtering teams.
And that's one of my favorite parts about going to these high schools that we've never been a part of. And so obviously for us, we're based in Charleston, so it's a little further for us to get down to some of these schools. And okay, we're working with some technology, but that's kind of the primary goal that when we both got this job, one of the things we want to do is experience all the different towns that the Tri-State has to offer.
Oh, totally.
And I think we've been doing a good job, not to pat ourselves on the back and say, hey, we're doing awesome here, but that's kind of the beauty about the Tri-State is this is one of the biggest markets in the entire country area-wise.
Yeah.
So we've got a ton of high schools to get to. That's why it's difficult for us in every station in the area to get to every single game because there's a million teams that we have to cover. So it's really cool when we get to go out and we get to see teams. We've seen Ironton on TV plenty of times, but I personally have never experienced a game like that. So that's why I'm excited. We get to introduce ourselves to people that we've never met before, get to know these teams, and so that's what I'm looking forward to this Friday.
Yeah, definitely, and I will mention, so Ironton played South Point and Chesapeake the last 2 weeks. As we know, those programs are both not, they're kind of in a rebuilding years, as we like to say.
South Point's got a couple wins this year.
Yeah, they do. They do. But yeah, they blew out Chesapeake last week 62-0 and then beat the Pointers 52-12. So coming off 2 huge wins of over 100 points. So yeah, I definitely go with Ironton. Sorry for jumping all over the place. But
they're feeling good.
Yeah.
Man is feeling good too.
Man is also feeling good.
Who else is feeling good?
So there we go. I love the transition. Okay, so Scott
they're feeling good.
Traveling to Mingo. Scott is feeling good. They're 5-0 right now, still undefeated. Mingo, on the other hand, has won 1 game. I do have highlights of this one, so let's go ahead and hit those. On time.
Ooh,
check out
look
the
at those minors.
I know. I love their colors. It's like, the Carolina blue.
Yeah, there's something about the Carolina blue, and I don't think they're going to like this highlight of them. But
I know. There's Man scoring.
I like this highlight because I shot it.
There you go. Yeah, as we mentioned, I mean, Man did beat Mingo big. We didn't think that was going to happen. Man's rolling, and then so Scott, there's 51 right there. Dalton Milam. Yeah, we always talk about, their quarterback and their running back, how big they are and how they just dominate and are running over these guys. But, man, they're good on the other side of the ball, too. So I really don't see I see Mingo maybe scoring 1 touchdown in this one, honestly.
Yeah, Scott is rolling in that. I was down in Madison, and I've been to Madison plenty of times, but this was my first Scott football game in Madison.
Yeah.
And that was an electric environment. It was really cool, especially when they were playing a team like Chapmanville, a Boone, Logan rivalry like that, close to school next door. So I was really excited about that game. And that game ended up being really good.
Hey, I know when Scott sports are doing well, it's very fun because that Madison, that whole area.
State basketball tournament, Madison. It was literally all of Charleston was Madison.
I mean, they raised all that money to get all the kids tickets and get the whole town of Madison down here. So when Scott sports are doing well, Madison is the place to be. It's very fun.
That's the beauty of local sports.
Yes.
It brings us all together because you share a common bond, and that's your school, that's your people, and so it's awesome.
Your kids.
All of Madison. That I will tell you, being at Scott on last Friday was the worst parking I've ever seen in my life, and the reason for that is because the entire town was there.
Yes.
So like, I can't fault them. Everyone wanted to go to the game. It was just kind of a hassle for me to get around. But going back
That's the one time you won't complain about the traffic. Like, you will, but no, you know.
Oh, I completely understand.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was excited to be there. I was really excited to be there. The Sharks were out there.
Right.
But
Sharks.
Scott,
If you missed the Sharks, go check out the highlights from last week. It was so funny.
But getting back to the game, nothing against Mingo. They are struggling. Scott, they have got some weapons. Jaden Sharps, Isaiah Bush. I forget the running back's name off the top of my head, but he bursted out a big touchdown. I think his name's like Preston or something like that. We've got a lot of names.
Yeah.
Matt Fry, junior gunslinger. They have a lot of weapons, and they've got that big defensive line too.
Yeah.
I think they win, and I think they win big. And they could be 6-0. Like, everyone talks in AA about Fairmont Senior and Independence. This could be a good shot for Scott this year.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm looking right now at the rest of their schedule because I'm very interested to see.
There's probably some more game of the weeks in there too. Because I mean, especially if they play Winfield coming up.
Yeah. So they have Logan next week, then Polka, Winfield, Nitro. Dude, I could see them going undefeated.
I want to see. Is that in Logan?
Yes. No, it's in Madison.
Okay, we might have to. I mean, we'll be there, but we'll have to see. Especially, are they in Winfield?
They are at Winfield.
Okay.
Yes.
Both those games, I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah,
because especially the way, foreshadowing ahead, especially the way that Winfield's defense played against Logan this past week, them versus Scott is going to be an awesome game.
That will be a very good game. I definitely agree. I sense maybe a game of the week, but I could see it though, man. I mean, if they come out and they come out strong, Logan and Winfield are probably the only two question marks. And even if they lose to those two teams, that's 2 losses in the regular season. I don't think people predicted that. That's awesome.
I don't want necessarily. Well, I mean, towards the end of the season, we're going to have a lot of marquee games because we still have Huntington, Cabell, Midland.
Right.
We still have
a lot of the rivalries.
Huntington versus Hurricane. So, like, we've got a couple budding games of the week coming up. So we are going to have tough decisions whenever that comes up.
Yeah, maybe we'll have like a viewers poll. You know what I mean?
We could do that.
Yeah, like have viewers vote in and tell us what you think our game of the week should be. That actually might be kind of fun. I'm going to workshop that. Okay, so Magnolia versus Wahama. I was saying this to Zach earlier, man. Wahama White Falcons, 5-0, undefeated right now. Like, that is nuts. Magnolia on the other side has not won a game yet. Wahama beat Webster last week by 50 points, 72-22. 72! They posted.
Cassidy, I think they might score more than 72 this game. Magnolia.
I was going to ask you, what do you think?
So Magnolia is 0-5. Week 1, they gave up 48 to Ravenswood. And Ravenswood's coming off of a great defensive win against Sherman. But man, Wahama, they are rolling. Sawyer Van Meter, awesome quarterback, or game of the week, or our player of the week a couple years ago. And this is a big year for Wahama because when I was there, they brought back players from the 1970s team. I think they're bringing back the 1980s team coming up too. So
isn't it their 100th season or something?
It might be.
Is that why? I think that's why.
There's a lot going on in Wahama.
There's a lot going on in Wahama.
And man, football over there. It's great.
Well, it's every sport. I mean, baseball, softball, like they all,
I enjoyed their football over there. It was kind of more laid back, and it was just cool. And then they beat South Harrison in a really good game.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean, this one is definitely going to be a Wahama, like I said. I mean, spread. If the line was at 50, I'd probably take the over on that. It's nothing, against Magnolia. It's the facts. It's where we're at right now.
Yeah, they just haven't looked good.
Yeah, I'm just being honest. See, we're honest journalists here. Okay, moving on. Hoover at Chapmanville. This one's actually going to be pretty tight, I think. Now, Hoover is at 500 right now at 2-2. Chap, on the other hand, 3-2. I think they're pretty evenly matched. Hoover right now, as Coach told you, they're struggling with a lot of injuries, and they just can't figure out how to get away from the penalties and the turnovers, like right there, interception. So they're just kind of struggling right now. Joey Fields is just really trying to get his guys healthy and back on the field. I know that. And then on the flip side, Chapmanville, you have two guys that are really strong, Brody Dalton and their running back, I think Caleb, I'm blanking on his last name right now. But they're really tall, big dudes. That wide receiver too. I know you like that shot.
I do, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just think it'll be really evenly matched. There's just a couple key players on each team. I mean, we didn't even mention Dane Hatfield, the quarterback for Hoover. So two solid quarterbacks. I think it'll be pretty high scoring. Who do you have?
I think this is a big game for both.
Yeah.
I really think this is kind of like a measuring stick
Right.
of where teams are at. So when you look at Hoover, their losses, Winfield and Scott, and I'm not talking about the old United States general back in the day. That's a history lesson for anyone. But Herbert Hoover, that's their two losses. Chapmanville, their two losses. Winfield and Scott.
Yep.
So, and Chapmanville, I mean, they got beat up really bad by Winfield. And Winfield is a tough team.
Yeah.
And we know that. But they hung in there against Scott, and that one really could have gone either way until about the second half. Really, it was the fourth quarter where Scott went away. Hoover, same deal. They were in it the entire game. Fourth quarter, Scott pulls away. So when you look at
I think that's because they had a couple injuries. So
and when you look at who that they've lost to really good teams. They both beat Sissonville. And they both Chapmanville beat Nitro and Polka, I believe. So they have common victory. So this was two of them that I like flip-flopped a lot, and I'm just gonna give the slight edge to the home team because I really think Hoover is a good team too. It's just when you're playing two of the premier teams in AA right now, it can go either way.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to give the edge to Chapmanville. I think they're home, but I think this one's a really good game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be really close. But I'm going to flip it on you. I think the Elk River people are going to make the trip down to the Chap. They love to travel. It'll be a sea of blue. Yeah, we'll see orange, but there'll be a bunch of blue there too. And I think Joey Fields does it. I think they do it. I think they come away with the win.
We know you like your sports betting. I feel like that I could make bets about you because I know you very well, and I knew you were picking Hoover.
Well, I love the Chap, and I love Sunshine.
Everyone loves the Chap.
Yeah, Brody Dalton, the quarterback for Chapmanville, is nicknamed Sunshine. He legitimately looks like the Titans quarterback, so I love him for that. I think it's hilarious, and I love the way they play. He's a very strong athlete. He's I'm pretty sure he's a three-sport athlete.
Yeah.
Plays baseball, basketball,
Yeah, committed
football.
to WVU baseball.
Yeah, that's right.
Another
very...
Chapmanville athlete that is playing a different sport. Can you imagine if Obina and O'Chilly Killen played wide receiver for Chapmanville, was getting touchdown passes from Brody Dalton? You just throw it and he'd just grab it easily.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
That would be. Unfortunately, they don't have wide receivers like that on Chapmanville, hence why I'm going with Hoover.
Yeah, you don't have it. No one has a 6'8" wide receiver right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay, so moving on, let's go Nitro at Logan. Okay, I'm worried. I'm worried about the Wildcats, the Nitro.
I would be
Wildcats
too.
in this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's the Wildcats off. Logan is the Wildcats, Nitro is the Wildcats, so that was very confusing. I apologize, everybody. But I do think Nitro struggles in this one, obviously. And what do you think?
I think Logan tears them to shreds.
Yes.
I think Logan is very angry after that Winfield loss, and they just didn't look very good. They ran into a very good Winfield defense, and so they're coming back. They're at home. They're against a Nitro team who have lost 3 in a row now. That was one of the things we were looking forward to see, okay, is Nitro legit?
Yeah.
Because they did beat Polka, and Polka obviously was really good last year, but had lost some talent.
Right.
Again, a Hoover team that, or no, they beat Hoover, but they beat St. Albans. So we were wondering, okay, is Nitro, are they legit? And now that they're playing a tough schedule, it's been a little bit of a struggle for them. They're playing a lot tougher competition. I think Logan with Jackson Kogar and Aiden Slack, I think that is one of the best quarterback wide receiver combos in the entire state. I think Logan wins, and I really think they put up a lot of points.
Yeah, I agree with you on this one. I mean, I obviously want to root for Nitro or the team closer here to home and Derek Lowe. I mean, he's killing it at quarterback for a sophomore. To step up and fill those shoes that his big brother, left when he graduated, is huge. And I think he's playing as well as he can, with the resources he has.
There's a learning curve when you're a young quarterback too.
Oh,
it just
100%.
takes time.
And the thing with high school, everybody, you grow at a different rate and all of that too,
Yep.
and your experience and all of that. So I think it's benefited Nitro that that Derek got thrown in there freshman year, and he's having this sophomore year, and he's building that foundation to have success in the next couple of years. And I do think they're making strides over there to have a successful program here soon. I'm pretty sure they haven't had a winning record since 2007.
It's been a while, and these Logan kids have been around for a while too.
Yeah, so I do want Nitro to do well. I think eventually they will get there. I just think this year is definitely a rebuilding year for them, and I agree with you. I think Logan, Aiden Slack, we talk about him all the time. He's just a beast. I mean, on both sides of the ball, he's snagging interceptions, snagging touchdowns. He's just a hard kid to stop. So I agree with you. I'm going with Logan. I don't think it's close. And yeah, Logan will roll to 5 wins. And yeah, they're pissed about that Winfield loss, that's for sure.
I'd be too if you lost like that.
Yeah, I would be very upset. Okay, next on the list, we have Polka at Sissonville. Now, Polka, as we mentioned earlier, is struggling a little bit. They lost a lot of talent last year. Sissonville, on the flip side, also struggling a little bit. What do you make of this one?
This is the other one that I kind of went back and forth for a while, trying to wonder who is going to win this game.
It's a one-win team versus 0-win team.
Yeah,
Put it that way.
in Polka, they throttled Mingo Central.
Yeah.
The last time that they won, they're 1-4. I don't remember who they played last week. Maybe it was the bingo game last week. But
Yeah, you're right.
yeah, so they're coming off of a win.
41-7, they beat Mingo.
But I mean,
So going back to Scott and Mingo, that one's going to be rough. If Polka put up 40 on Mingo,
and then Sissonville, they gave up 50 to I gave up 52 to Hoover in a rivalry game. So it's a struggle for them too.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to figure these teams are going to win one game, and so this was the one where I was kind of leaning towards Sissonville, but I went with my gut here, and I just got to go with Polka.
Yeah, I think Seth Ramsey, I mean, he's been over there for so long. He knows what he's doing in these games. And I might have to agree with you on this one, but I think it's going to be very low scoring. I mean, I see 6-3, maybe.
I think there'll be a little more points than that. I think it'll be about 20 to...
Really? You think they'll break double digits?
I think Polka will. I think they'll get about 25-ish to 28
Okay, I'm
around that
making
range.
a note on this one. I want to keep track of this one. 20-ish something.
Well, they
Zach says
scored
20-ish.
They scored 40 against Mingo, and so I really think Polka can put up some points when they find that right opponent.
Well, we'll find out. Tune in Friday night. No, but yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of in the same boat on this one. But yeah, definitely going to be a rough one. Okay, Ravenswood at Ritchie. This one we will actually have here on the 13 Sports Zone. We have some of our friends going to get that game for us, so definitely tune in. I'm excited about that. Also, similar to Polka and Sissonville, it's a two-win team against a 0-win team. Ravenswood did collect 2 wins. I'm blanking on who. Do you remember who?
They beat Sherman and Magnolia.
Yeah, okay.
It was a 21-14 win.
And like we said earlier, I mean, Magnolia is kind of a hard team to measure up.
I'm kind of surprised about that Sherman win because Sherman was such a good team last year, and then this year it's kind of a different story.
Yeah.
Again, A schools, you lose players, and that can really two different seasons are very, very different.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at Polka.
And so I think that kind of shocked a few people when Ravenswood won that one.
Yeah.
And so now they go up against a team, Ritchie County. We don't know anything about Ritchie County.
Yeah, at all. I'm
And
not
so,
gonna lie.
but when you look at 0-4, you think of an opportunity here for Ravenswood. If they win this one, the Red Devils will be 500. And this was a 1-win team last year.
Yep.
So think about what that can do for the morale for the
Oh,
Red
yeah.
Devils.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm really excited for Ravenswood and a 2-game winning streak. We're hoping to see that.
Yeah.
So I'm going with them. You got to.
Yeah, I mean, you convinced me right there if I wasn't already going with the Red Devils. That's very, very true. I mean, I don't think either of us really predicted Ravenswood to be at 500 at any point. So that would be very big for them. I definitely agree. Yeah, I'm going with Ravenswood on that one.
You got to.
Yeah. Okay, Lincoln at Wayne.
I was kind of flipping
I
back
feel
and
like I picked 3 games in a row here on our list that are like every time.
yeah.
Because Lincoln at Wayne is also a 0-win team against a 3-2 team.
That's just kind of the unfortunate coincidence of
Yeah.
this week is that a lot of teams are
Yeah.
0-4 at 3-1
Yeah.
or 2-2 at 2-1 or something like that. So
I was gonna mention when we were talking about the Hoover and Chap game how it's like 3-2 versus 2-2, and those two teams are so like middle tier. I think all of our area teams right now it's like split because the beginning of the schedules were kind of crazy in that we had our really good teams playing really bad teams. Well, not really bad teams, but teams that are struggling this year, and so there are a lot of like skewed, records right now, and I think Hoover and Chapmanville are like, that's that one game with 2 teams that are middle tier, and then everybody else.
yeah,
Now everybody's playing each other, all the good teams and all the teams that are struggling.
Hoover and Chapmanville are good
any of
teams.
that
They've
makes
just
sense.
kind of ran into the best
Yeah.
right now.
yeah, definitely. But Wayne, who do you have in this one? Lincoln and Wayne?
I was thinking about both. Wayne, a road win at Nitro last week, and because their only 2 losses are Scott and Logan, and they didn't play very well in either 2 of those games. They were at Logan, tough game. They were home against what we've learned that is a really good Scott team.
They also lost to Winfield too, but again, still all 3 powerhouses.
That's right. I have
Yeah.
my. They're 2 and 3, right?
Yes.
Okay, I think I'm dyslexic. So I wrote that they were 3 and 2. I was trying to figure out who they beat. But I was thinking back and forth. Okay, this is one of those situations. AAA school at AA school.
Yep.
Lincoln County. They lost to Ripley. They're struggling. They lost to Oak Hill a couple weeks ago. I don't remember who they lost to.
They
last
lost
week.
to Woodrow last week by 40.
Woodrow's a good team.
Yeah.
And so I feel bad for Lincoln, and but I think Wayne goes to 3 and 3. This was kind of the one I was teetering back and forth, but I gotta go with the safe bet here.
Yeah, it is at Wayne. Here's the thing: if it were at Lincoln, I might kind of go in their favor and say they get their first win, because I do know that like the people, it's Hamlin, right?
Yeah.
They do love like Panther football out there. I mean, you guys are in my DMs all the time. You need to come do a story on this kid, and they definitely love their football out there. And I know they want them to be good, and I know it's probably a hard year for fans out there and families. So if it were at Lincoln County, I would go with the Panthers, honestly, because I do believe these teams are pretty evenly matched, even though their records are pretty lopsided. Like we said, I mean, but I'm going to go with Wayne on this one too. I'm just going to go with the home team. I think you can't really count them out. Plus, we've seen how rowdy it can get down there in Wayne.
What does Spencer say? Nobody circles the wagons like the
Wayne Pioneers.
Yep.
I love it. Okay, up next we have Riverside at Huntington. Here we go.
All right.
So, obviously Huntington, in the preseason polls, they were voted to win it all this season. I think they're kind of maybe got too big a hype for that, because they are not doing, they only have 1 loss, according to Max Preps.
Well, that was the Spring Valley game.
To Spring Valley, yeah, and since then they've been rolling, but again, it's kind of hard to judge them. The teams they've played so far: South Charleston, George Washington, Capital.
Ever since that Spring Valley game, they just haven't been tested.
Right. So, and again, they're not really getting tested again.
They're still one of the best teams in all of AAA.
I remember at the beginning of the year, I said Huntington was my pick to at least. I I thought maybe, because we don't know about Martinsburg yet, they got throttled by a Virginia team. We ain't seeing Virginia teams in the Super Six.
Yeah.
So wipe that away.
Yeah.
Martinsburg is still Martinsburg no matter what.
Yeah.
But Huntington was my team at the beginning of the year. I thought that they were going to do that. They were going to go back to the championship game with Gavin Lacko, Dwayne Harris, and Armani Felder, and I think Jay Jackson is his name, the other running back there. So they've got a lot of different options there. And so it's week 1. They lose to Spring Valley. They lose to a big rival.
Yeah.
They might see them down the road. Will be completely different teams.
Yeah.
So they haven't been tested yet. I don't think this is a test for them again.
Yeah.
My big thing for them is I want to see them against Hurricane.
Yeah. Me too.
That will prove. I know Hurricane's legit. Look what they did at Spring Valley. They almost won that game. Look what they've done against every single other team. They had to go to poor St. Albans last week.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for Huntington to play that big game. Billy Seals is one of the best coaches in the area.
Yeah.
He's got some of the best players in the area.
Well, when you've been around.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
as long as
They've
he
got
has
multiple
and has the
D1 talent.
experience, yeah.
So Huntington, they're beating everybody up.
Yep.
I mean, they had a blocked punt return for a touchdown against Capital, but other than that, their defense didn't allow a point to the Cougars.
Yeah, it was kind of a crazy situation.
Yeah,
That was
but
kind of luck a little
this
bit.
is going to be another blowout win. Riverside only gave up 28 to Spring Valley in their high-powered offense. Coach Alex Daugherty's, his team, they've got some scrap in them. I mean, look what they did against Woodrow. They were down 28-0. They lost 31-28.
Yeah.
That team doesn't quit.
Yeah,
But
no
I'm just
quitting that
waiting
team.
for Huntington to play with somebody again that's on their level. We're waiting for Midland.
Yes.
We're waiting for Hurricane.
Yeah, kind of like what we were saying earlier. It seems like a lot of our really top-tier teams, we're playing the teams that are struggling a little bit. Huntington is in that boat. Huntington has played a lot of our teams that are just don't really have it together this year yet, and they're still moving some stuff around. So yeah, that's going to be a tough one for Riverside.
And they've played such a tough schedule to start the year.
Oh
too.
yeah, well yeah, it's the flip side of
Parkersburg,
So-
Woodrow Wilson, Spring Valley, and now Huntington. That's murderer's row right there.
Yeah, seriously. And speaking of Spring Valley, we're talking so much about him. Here we go. Spring Valley is traveling to South Charleston. This one also, again, is going to be tough.
This one's going to be ugly.
Yes, very ugly. Spring Valley is still undefeated, as we know. They beat Cabell Midland in a close game. Spring Valley's legit. They're legit every year. Dalton Fouch, there's just no stopping him. They had all these kids leave and go play football up in Morgantown, and yet they're still rolling. So I don't think this one is close at all. I think when South Charleston played another Wayne, or like, I always want to call Spring Valley Cabell County, but it's technically Wayne County.
It is technically
And so
Wayne County, yeah.
that always throws me off. But yeah, I forget where I was going with that because now I started thinking, South Charleston last played like a Cabell County team was Cabell Midland, and yeah, they struggled. They got rocked. So I don't think this one's going to be very
All
close.
I'm going to say is Spring Valley wins.
Yes. That's all we're going to say about that one. Poor Carly. He's really trying over there. I know, Coach. It's tough.
But South Charleston, again, they have also played such a tough schedule. Morgantown, Huntington, Spring Valley, George Washington. So they're getting their tough ones out of the way first. So they'll face a Riverside soon. I think Riverside wins that one. But their big ones are going to be, okay, do they beat Capital?
Yep.
Do they put up a good fight against Capital? St. Albans? Somebody's got to win.
Nitro. I could see them, playing Nitro pretty close. Maybe Sissonville. Yeah, so it'll be interesting as the season goes on. Okay, Summers County at Clay County. Summers is 2-3. Clay is 4-1. They're only lost to Roan. That was a close one.
It was a good one.
Not as close as we thought it would be, but still pretty close. And Clay is also coming off of a 49-6 win against Liberty. Almost put a 50 burger on him, as we like to say.
Thank you, Joe Fitzwater, for that video.
Yeah, shout out Joe Fitz, by the way. He helped us out last week. If you guys don't know him, he was our meteorologist here at 13 News for a long time, Mr. Joe Fitzwater. He's now over in Beckley as the chief met over there. He helped shoot our Friday night football last week, so want to Shout out Joe, because
You know what
the man.
Joseph Fitzwater and Rafael Nadal have in common?
Oh gosh, what?
They're the king of clay.
Oh
I
my
digress.
gosh. That was pretty good. That's funny. Okay. Okay. Who do you have in this one? I
Our
keep
only
saying okay.
emotional connection to Summers County is that we drove past the high school on our way to Blacksburg.
That is true. We
And
did do that. I was like, wait a second.
Hinton was an interesting little town that
Yeah.
we went through. They had the New River right through there. Very gorgeous scenery.
Yeah.
Clay wins. It's a home game for them. Clay's gonna roll.
Yeah, I agree with you on this one. I think Clay's going to keep it rolling. I did want to check out the rest of their schedule real quick because
Who do they have coming up?
Yeah, so they have Nitro, Lincoln County, Riverview, Summers again, and then Braxton.
There's no way they play Summers twice this season.
That's what it says on Max Preps, but who knows?
Does it say the date?
Yeah, 10/28.
Same day as. Hold on. Go down. It says Max Prep sometimes messes up. They'll say you play two teams on the same day.
But see, they have Riverview on the 21st, then Riverview on the 28th, so I assumed
We'll find out.
it's a mystery.
That could be an open date.
Well, my point in bringing this up though is they only have one loss to Roane County, and that was kind of expected. But man, they might run the table in the second half of
This
the
is a
season.
playoff team again.
Yeah, this is
isn't-
exciting. This
they're
is
gonna make
very
the playoffs
exciting
again.
for Clay County fans. Okay, I agree. Clay County Park at GW. I'm excited about this game.
Ooh.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm hoping that it's close. Parkersburg, I know they're pretty upset. Our game of the week last week was Park and Midland, and it was not very close. It was close going into halftime. Park was only down by, I think it was like 10 points, but then they just kind of ran away with it after the half. First year head coach, they're still trying to figure things out over there in Parkersburg, and you're facing a coach in Steve Edwards, who just became the winningest all-time head coach in the Kanawha Valley. So it will be a tough test for Park. I think GW is a little upset right now with how their season is going. I don't really think Coach Edwards or anyone on that team, Abe Fenwick or any of those guys, really predicted that it would be going how it's going right now. So I think they are a little upset about it, but
They still got a good chance to make the playoffs. I mean, Hurricane was their loss, and
yeah.
Who else was their other loss? I'm blanking off the top of my head. Who is
yeah.
Parkersburg's other loss besides Cabell Midland? For some reason, I just cannot remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, let me check this out real quick.
But I think-
will say, though, go on.
I think this one's really close.
Oh, me too. I think it will be a close game, but I do know that
yeah.
GW. Okay, so they lost to South. They lost to Parkersburg. Lost to Parkersburg.
That's
South
right. They
in a
got
rivalry game.
throttled by
Yes.
Park South. Park
Yes.
South's a good team.
55-7 was that final. Then when I interviewed Coach Matt Kimes, he's, like I said, the first year head coach for the Big Reds. Oh goodness! Like I said, there's Poncho. Making
That was
guest
Matt
appearances.
Kimes. No,
Yeah,
just kidding.
that was Matt Kimes on his thoughts of the game.
That's him talking about Park South.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, and he did tell me that they wanted to come out really strong, try to beat Cabell Midland after that loss. It was a tough loss for them, and unfortunately they ended up losing. Yeah, that final against Cabell was 31-10. So yeah, I think 2 losses in a row. They're gonna go up on the hill up at GW, upset. I think it will be a close game, but like I said, I think GW did not think that their season would be going the way it is. They have 2 losses right now to Hurricane and Huntington. So I mean, I guess kind of.
I think you can expect those to go.
I will say I thought they were going to play a lot closer to Huntington. 58-13. That was the
Yeah.
final. I didn't see it going.
I think
like
if
that.
you looked at GW's schedule at the beginning of the year and you told me now that they're 3-2, I would look at them like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But when you look at the losses, the way that they've lost is like they haven't. I missed the first half of the Hurricane game because I was at Winfield, and according to the sports writer that I was talking to, that GW, their first possession looked really good.
Yeah.
After that,
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
The Hurricane just opened
They
up a
actually
can.
scored first.
Yeah, and so I think that's the issue right now with George Washington is they beat a good team in Ashland.
Yep.
But this is again is another test, and so these are two teams that kind of have something to prove here.
Right.
Obviously, Parkersburg has not looked good in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But George Washington, they did not expect to get crushed by Huntington. I don't think anybody expected 56-7 to Hurricane.
Yeah.
So that's one thing for George Washington is because they made the playoffs last year and they put up a good fight in Huntington against a team that went to the state championship game. So this is a big game for them to kind of figure themselves out here is, okay, you can make the playoffs, but you got to start hanging with the big boys.
Right.
In the MSAC and in also another thing. But I'm going to go with George Washington. I think it's close. Park South, so this is out of our area, but this is a big game for Class AAA. Park South hosts Bridgeport.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game. That'll be a very
That could be
good
a
game.
playoff matchup.
Yeah, that'll be a very good game. I don't know. I'm going back and forth on this one because losing to your rival by that much and then coming to Ona and then losing to Cabell Midland the way they lost, I would just be so like fired up, like just wanting to go up on that hill and just like I would be so fired up if I were the Big Reds. On the flip side, it's at G-Dub. They're rowdy. Fans are rowdy. I do think Park travels well, so I could see. Man, I'm going back and forth. Who'd you pick?
I put George Washington.
I'm gonna go with Park. Just to
I
keep it
am
interesting.
shocked.
Just to keep
Cassie
things
never
interesting.
never picks against her backyard.
I know. But you know what? Hey, I love you, Coach Edwards. I'm going with Parkersburg solely for the dramatics.
I think that's a fine pick.
That's the
though.
only reason. Just for
I have
the
no problem with
dramatics.
that.
Okay, cool. All right, moving on. Fort Fry at Point Pleasant. Fort Fry, if you're like, who is that?
That's
I've
what
never
I
heard
said.
of them. That is exactly. Join the club. Join the club. Fort Fry, I'm pretty sure, is a team out of Kentucky.
They're Ohio.
I don't even know what state. That's good.
We'll find out where Fort Fry is.
Yeah, but they're playing Point Pleasant. Point Pleasant, you were just up there last week, right?
2 weeks ago,
2 weeks
and
ago.
that was my first experience. Man, they got a nice facility over there.
Yeah. So Point Pleasant is coming off of a 44-0 shutout against another Ohio team in Warren. I'm trying to see where Fort Fry is.
Fort Fry
located.
is
it's
probably
Ohio.
it's about 30 minutes north of Parkersburg,
Okay, yeah.
up above the Muskingum River.
So, I mean, don't know a whole lot about Fort Fry. They are 5-1 right now, but the teams they play are obviously not the teams that Pleasant
Yeah.
plays. So, Point Pleasant, though, they did the game you were at. They lost to Scott 21-14.
That was a good one.
So, who do you have in this one? Who do you think? Who do you think?
I'm not gonna act like I know anything about Fort Fry. So it's the FF versus
The PP.
Yeah, I stopped myself. I'm gonna go with Point Pleasant. I realized when I said the FF versus, and I said, "Oh no."
Oh no.
And then you finished my sentence, so I'm glad you said it,
See,
not
it's
me.
not inappropriate if I say it, only if you say it.
Well, yeah. Well, you also have some stability here, whereas I'm replaceable. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're getting rowdy. I'm going with Point Pleasant too. Going with the home team on that one. But it will be interesting. Tune in Friday night. We'll find out who wins.
Yeah.
Okay, Ripley at Roan. I feel bad the Vikings have to go and play this game. It's going to be really rough. I really think it'll be tough. Roan County is nitty gritty, blue collar, run smash mouth football, almost like Midland in a way. Obviously,
Yep.
different classes, but they are like that. They're tough, and this Ripley team is just not. They're young. They're young guys, and so I'm worried about this one. What do you think?
This is one of the few times where a AAA school is playing a AA school, and the AA school is
Yeah.
favored by so much.
Had to pull it up.
It was a great start for Ripley last week against Oak Hill,
Yeah.
but after this punt return for a touchdown, it all went downhill. You know, I was supposed to look up that Oak Hill punter, and I forgot. because our sister station is telling us that punter is like one of the top in the country. So I need to look that up to verify that.
Yeah, we need to figure that out for sure.
But man, Roan is
Look at them.
They're taking names.
Taking names. This is against Lewis County, their game.
They're chewing bubble gum and kicking butt, and they're out of bubble gum.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so this one will definitely be
Well, they just
Roan.
have one of the best rushing attacks in the state. This is Coal Grove,
It
by the
started
way.
back over. Our highlights.
Well, that concludes our highlights. We hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Roan County is legit. And this is
Yeah.
another AA school that is kind of in the thick of it. I can't wait for the playoffs because I want to see a Winfield play a Roan. I want to see a Scott play a Fairmont.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm looking forward to that. I want to see a Clay face a Logan or something like
Yeah.
that. And so I'm looking forward to, like, not looking too far ahead, but we know this Roan team's going to be a playoff.
We're halfway through the regular season. It's about time to start thinking about the playoffs. Isn't that I know it sounds crazy,
but
it's not wrong.
We can pencil Roan into the playoffs. It just
Yeah.
kind of depends on where they're going to be as far as seeding and everything.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of dream matchups. Like, I really want to see.
And I know a lot of eyes are going to be like on the seeding this year and everything, just because of what happened last year with Fairmont and Hoover and that whole
Coincidence.
I know.
I mean,
So-
that was the state championship game in the first round.
Yeah.
Right there.
So I think people will be pretty interested. Actually, the WVSSAC, when they dropped their rankings, they had Fairmont Senior drop down to number 7. They were number 2 last week and dropped to number 7. I forget who they played last week.
I think they lost to a AAA school, which
yeah.
that's not fair if they
I
move them
know.
down. They always do that.
That's what I'm worried about. So keep your eyes on the ratings.
So they're a 16 team last year, but their
Yeah.
losses were like Bridgeport University. I'm like, yeah,
Or like a Kentucky
Not
school.
saying they
Yeah.
should lose those games, but like you can't expect them to win all of them when it's AAA schools that have more of an enrollment
Yeah,
and whatnot.
yeah.
Maybe we should just move up Fairmont to AAA.
There have been talks about that. That's not the first time that's been said. So,
So how is there much of a difference between Fairmont Senior and East Fairmont?
well, East Fairmont does have a lot less kids, I would say.
I always just wonder how that works out.
Yeah.
Same city, 2 different schools,
Yeah, well.
and
there's-
one's way better.
Yeah, well, it's because it's East Fairmont and West, and where. Have
Yeah.
you been to Fairmont? I
I've
forget.
driven past.
Okay, well, we'll have to take you up there. I'll give you the grand tour. My family's from there, so yeah, it's quite different. I mean, West Fairmont's definitely the nicer, more. The school kind of looks like a private school. East
I
Fairmont.
have noticed that.
is
Yeah, it
quite
does look.
different.
Oh, Fairmont Senior.
Although East Fairmont, they did just rebuild a new high school, like I think 10 years ago, maybe, I don't know, but it's newer. But yeah, West definitely has more enrollees. Moving on, last game on the docket for high school, Oak Hill at Cabell Midland.
Ooh.
Oak Hill is 3-2, Cabell is 3-1. I'm kind of shocked these teams are like playing each other. I don't think they played each other last season.
Oak Hill's AAA.
Yeah, but I don't think they played each other last season, though.
If they did, then Cabell was on the road. I'm
Yeah.
interested in this matchup. I mean, we'll have a camera on the scene there. Cabell, I mean, they looked really good against Parkersburg. They were finally getting back to what we kind of expected of them. And then, I mean, they beat South Charleston, and then they beat somebody else. I don't remember off the top of my head. But they hadn't been outside of that first loss to GW. They hadn't really been tested.
Okay, I lied. They did play Cabell last season. They lost 56-16.
Well, that Cabell Midland team was so good last
they
year,
were really good
and
last
they were
year.
on such a roll that I actually thought that they were gonna beat Huntington.
I remember.
So when we were doing our little bracket challenge, I actually picked Cabell Midland to play Martinsburg in the championship game.
Yeah.
And Huntington not only beat them, they beat them pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I still think Cabell Midland's obviously a really good team this year.
Yeah.
That win against Parkersburg is what we expect
Yeah.
from Cabell Midland. Oak Hill, man, they were like a 3 or 4 win team last year. They lose their best running back, and that kid was a beast. They're 3-2.
I know, it's kind of crazy.
Well, they beat
I will
Lincoln and
say-
Ripley.
yeah,
Okay, so
I was gonna say.
we'll wait. We'll
Yeah.
stop the train real
Yeah.
quick. I think Cabell wins.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cabell wins too. I think what's going to be really hard for Oak Hill, as we mentioned earlier, I mean, Midland is just like a smash mouth football team. I mean, they, they have, the RPOs going, and you just can't. I mean, they were tripping me out, like when I was filming in the end zone, because you just can't even see the freaking ball. So, like, I think it's
Ryan Wolf's
really,
a good quarterback too.
Yeah, and I think it'll maybe not be as bad as last season, 56-16, but I think it'll be quite similar to that.
It's gonna be a long night as a defensive tackle.
Yeah, that is very true. Very true. Stopping the run is gonna be tough. Okay, so that about wraps up our high school. As always, tune in tomorrow night at about like 11:10 for all of our Friday night Sports Zone highlights and all of our fun stuff. Like I said, it's week 6, week 7 for Kentucky and Ohio.
Yep.
So crazy that it's at this point. But I want to switch gears to college real quick. We have like about, 10 minutes here.
Yeah.
But I want to talk Marshall. Because all of our Thundering Herd fans out there, I know y'all are upset. We're right there with you.
I'm too.
2-game losing streak right now. It's not fun. But they're back home in the Joan on Saturday, hosting Gardner-Webb. They're in the, Mountain West, what conference are they?
They're in the Big South.
Big South?
Yeah.
See, he's my conference guy. I always check him for the conferences. But, so, they played a conference game last week. Now they're going back out of conference. I don't know, if that's going to be good, but they definitely need a little bit of a pep in their step, some encouragement. So I think maybe doing that might be beneficial this season. Another side note, it is also Military Appreciation Day on Saturday, so there will be a flyover and a bunch of stuff like that to honor the military. I think they're wearing special uniforms or might have like a decal on their helmet. So it should be a nice day. We will warn you guys. Spencer has been warning us. First of all, Hurricane Ian.
Yeah, that's why
I was wondering why you said nice day. Because it's going to rain.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, bring your poncho.
Well, right when I said it, I was like, wait a second. We've been talking about this all week.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah. Hurricane Ian, the after effects will hit up in this area on Saturday, and pretty much like the height of it will be during the Marshall game. So if you're going to the Joan on Saturday, make sure to pack some extra, maybe a poncho, extra, waterproof gear.
Our poncho just left.
Yeah, that's true. Good one. Oh man, I wish we had like a third camera in here, or maybe a camera operator or something, so you guys could see what's actually going on. But anyway, yeah, back to Marshall. I think it's a game that needs to have, they need to have a statement win back home at the Joan in front of the fans, all of that. I think they need to turn this around.
Yeah, I think you're reading my mind there.
Yeah.
So I can kind of equate this to WVU.
Yeah.
Kind of at the beginning of the year, except that Towson game. That Towson game was not going to make or break anything.
Nope.
Unless they struggled. If they struggled, then I thought Neil Brown.
Yeah.
Not to say, if they won that game,
Didn't fully get the boot, but it was half in
obviously
the air.
if WVU lost that game, Neil Brown's gone.
Yeah.
But if they struggled, it's kind of like what's going on and everything. So they needed not only to beat Towson, they needed to destroy Towson. And that kickoff return for a touchdown, everyone's like, oh no.
Yep.
But then they beat them up. And then they beat Virginia Tech up. And so now you're looking at Neil Brown and you're looking at this WVU team like, okay, we barely lost to Pitt. Pitt's a good team. Pitt's only loss is an overtime loss to Tennessee, who just beat Florida.
Yep.
Kansas is undefeated. They've got a good test against Iowa State. I'm not going to deviate too far from the fact. But now all of a sudden you're looking at WVU and you're like, maybe this team ain't that bad. They go against a Texas team that just lost to Texas Tech. That one,
this weekend,
Quinn Ewers isn't playing. They've got a young guy in Hudson Card who clearly is not as good as Quinn Ewers. That could be something for WVU. Going back to Marshall, again, this is a game they need to beat Gardner-Webb bad. You cannot have
statement win.
You cannot have an offensive performance like you did last week against Troy. The only thing I will say about Gardner-Webb, they are a 1-3 team. They just got crushed by Mercer this past week. Also, fun fact, Mercer crushed Morehead State. Morehead State got crushed by Montana State. Montana State got crushed by Oregon State.
Okay.
It all comes back.
Okay, well, I was going to say...
You were wondering where I was going with that.
I know, I was for a second. But doing that game where you're like, this doesn't... It's college football. None of it makes sense. Like, I was going to tweet this out the other day. Marshall beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame beat...
North Carolina.
North Carolina beat App State. App State beat Troy in overtime. Barely beat Troy. And Troy comes and beats Marshall. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Troy's a better team than we thought. Yeah. And I was really worried about coming into this game because look what they did against Appalachian State. I mean, James Madison scored like 28 in a row to beat App State. The thing about college football is that teams match up with other teams differently. So Marshall's going to play against Notre Dame a certain way. Yeah. They're going to go play against Troy a certain way.
Well, and that's what Huff kind of said. He said even against Notre Dame, it was like a top 10 team, all that stuff, but they were able to mask a lot of their issues in that game because they just didn't. He didn't step back. I mean, Columbia maybe stepped back like a handful of times in that game. He really wasn't passing the ball, so he was just handing it off. So I mean, and now they're saying that they need, receivers.
They need to open up the playbook a little bit more, but I don't know if this is the game they're going to do that. Yeah. Because they've got a lot of time after this game because the next one, Wednesday night. Not
mini
next Wednesday. So they don't play again until a week and a half, and they'll have an ESPN game against Louisiana, and that's the one a lot of people outside of the Notre Dame game. A lot of people circled this one on the calendars because they're upset about last year, and rightfully so. But going back to Gardner-Webb, their thing is they only lost to Coastal Carolina by 4 points, and I've been bringing that up a lot lately because, again, and Huff has explained this a million times, that you cannot judge you cannot judge an opponent by their uniform or their color scheme. A college football team is a college football team, no matter what. So I think Marshall, man, they've really got to figure that out. That offense, because I didn't like what they did in overtime against Bowling Green, because you had your best player on the field in Kalen Laburn, and you didn't give him the ball in overtime.
Well, and see, the hard part with Marshall right now, too, is they're kind of putting all their eggs in one basket with Kalen. So Kalen Laburn is a running back. He's from Florida State. He's the transfer that came in. They put up 174 yards of total offense against Troy last week, and Kalen was responsible for 118 of those. So it goes to show you, I mean, that dude is basically so like you said, they need to open up the playbook. They need to find guys that can handle it and handle some of the workload and do big things as well. And I mean, we saw Ethan Payne come out of his shell a little bit in that home opener. He was able to score 2 rushing touchdowns, maybe getting him back in there, figuring some things out with him. I don't know. Rasheen Ali needs to come back too. I mean, he just needs to come back. Obviously, he's dealing with issues. We get that, and we fully support him. But on paper, I say this team would probably be undefeated if Rasheen were there.
You can say that,
if
but I think
but
I think
they need something else. Is my point. They need another key element to help get them over those humps, and like Troy, because
they haven't needed Columbia yet to make those big throws until this past game. And so the problem right now is that this team is built on run blocking. And why wouldn't you want to run block? You get to push somebody down the field. That's awesome. When you drop back, everything's different. Right. And so he doesn't
have a whole lot of time when he does drop back. This O-line has been struggling.
When you look at the first 2 games, Henry did not have to make a tough throw. In the first game, the only interception against Norfolk was a deflected pass. He threw the ball downfield how many times? And we were talking about it in that Norfolk game where he was running around a lot trying to figure out where to throw it to. And then even in the Notre Dame game, all those passes were pretty quick and pretty easy passes. When did they go downfield? They haven't done that yet. Their big plays against Bowling Green, slants, they took to the house. And so obviously the offense is the big thing because the defense is still looking good. Even in that Bowling Green game, They struggled with in the secondary. They've got some guys banged up, but even in Troy, the defenses looked so good. And so they're going to win this game against Gardner-Webb. But I just hope we don't fall through the same thing, because the games are going to get brutal down the line.
Yeah, and like we said, this needs to be a statement win. End of the day, this has to be a huge win. They need to try some things out. This is their opportunity, too, to open up that playbook, try some things out, figure out, who's got what going on. The receivers, too, like when you mentioned like throwing slants and stuff, when they're in an open field, like when they get the ball and they turn and go and start gunning down the field, they are great in space. I mean, they can get away from guys. They're so fast. Shadid Ahmed, Talik Keaton, they're both very, very fast. They're quick. They have wheels. As long as they can make that break and go, they can go. You just got to get them the ball. And that just hasn't been happening.
We'll see how this offensive line progresses.
Yeah.
And I just hope this isn't a Norfolk game again where they go for obviously they're going to go for the win, but they're just going to run it and play it safe. I think you design some plays to get Henry an opportunity to try to go deep.
Excited.
Yeah, and so you can take the easy way out. And give it to Labrin, and he's going to do great. I mean, 4 games in a row with 100 yards rushing. He's one of the few guys in all of college football to do that.
Yep.
But I think they designed some plays to get Henry some confidence, and they designed some plays to get those wide receivers some space.
Going off of that, Kalen Labrin, it was announced yesterday, he is number 3 in the country for rushing yards right now. So, not shocked. Yeah, when you're giving the ball to one guy the whole time, not shocking. But, yeah, so I definitely think it needs to be a statement win, like you said. The rest of the games coming down the stretch are going to be very difficult, so this is their chance to kind of test some things out. But we do hope to see you guys in the Zone. Like we said, it'll be a wet one. It'll be rainy, but hey, that's football weather, right? That's what we like to say. It's football weather. I feel like anytime it's any type of weather, I say it's football weather, but it is. That's how the fall is, right? But yeah, and then of course, WVU is going to Texas, so we have a full game preview of that one as well on our website. You can head there. Yeah, I mean, any final thoughts on week 6 of high school football, Zach?
I ain't got any.
I want to go eat.
We've talked a lot. I didn't think we were going to talk about Marshall that much.
Me either, but you know what? We both care a lot about Marshall.
Yeah.
When you cover a team as close as we do, and we have a lot of thoughts.
You
clearly.
notice as we get deeper into these podcasts that we're spending like 5 minutes per game talking about everybody, because we're starting to learn more and more about these teams.
And you love it. That's what people want to hear. I mean, they want the inside information, right?
How long did we talk about Ravenswood today?
Yeah, there we go. Love them Red Devils. All right, guys. So, yeah, tomorrow night, 11:10, tune in. Check out all of our tri-state area highlights. And, yeah, we'll see you in the Zone.
If you're in Cold Grove, say hi.
Yes, definitely. Come by, say hi. Or Ironton.
Yep.
All right. Let me... Dun-dun-dun-dun.